I'm going to do now is actually going to do a presentation in a little different way, because I'm going to try to give you a perspective, as I did at the beginning, about how we came about to this topic. And as I've mentioned, this is a topic that is very important to us. We really think that workplace financial education is essential, because once you leave the school, the place where people are is the workplace. And you know, we have really used the data that I've mentioned at the beginning as well, that you need to know the fact, and you need to know, for example, how much people know in order to design a good program. So our approach has really been to try to identify the people who might need this workplace financial education the most, demonstrate how financial literacy can enhance retirement security, and develop tools that can achieve that, and also evaluate them. I have to say, for me, this is actually a topic that started back in 2006, actually, at Dartmouth College. And together with a professor of marketing at the business school, we designed something very, very simple, which was simply a planning aid. And this is really how this planning aid looked like. It's a simple 7-step to how you can enroll in a supplementary retirement account. And it has a lot of features about why this might actually be important. It doesn't have any number. In fact, it has a figure. And it was also our first qualitative work. And here is one case where is this very important, in addition to collecting representative data, also to do focus group to actually have a deep understanding of what are some of the obstacles to, for example, saving for retirement. This actually gave rise to a whole conference and a book on how to improve financial literacy education, and a lot of you in this room have actually contributed to this book. We have actually continued this project, and you have seen earlier on a discussion about how we can actually do the 5-step now in a more interactive way using videos. And these videos are a simple example in which you can actually improve financial knowledge via narrative stories that might be better able to equip people to understand some of the fundamental concepts of why it might be helpful to save for retirement. But the most important work that has been done, I think, and supported by Social Security, is the work by Clark and Melissa Morrill, which unfortunately couldn't be here today. And I'm going to give a little bit of an overview of that work in a moment. And what this is a really major project that looked at 6 big firms that span really several sectors, and where, again, there has been a possibility to do an in-depth analysis that start with qualitative work, surveys, understanding what the employee needs and what are their barriers to saving, understand the power of automatic enrollment, understand the plan features, and so on. So this is to reach a project to explain in details, and we have posted, by the way, all of our projects on the website. We are not distributing copies today because it's too much copying and too much printing. We would kill too many trees. But actually a lot of them are posted online, and I really recommend that you actually read the description of the result of this big project. This actually has continued over time. That's just to give you again a trajectory of how we started and how the work of the Social Security supported initial project have expanded over other projects. And Bob Clark and I and Poonam, who did the original work at Dartmouth, have been working with the New York Stock Exchange Foundation to actually design a flexible workplace financial education that can be adopted by any big firm. And some of the features of that plan are very much present in the research we have done before. So just to give you an idea of what we have done here, we have basically classified the program into 3 steps. So what employer can do, 3 types of initiative. They can do the minimum or the basics, which is really make everything automatic. But as David said, it's important to do automatic enrollment, automatic escalation, and be careful about allocation of wealth. You can then do something intermediate and do more to help people actually save for retirement, including helping them with improving their credit score or financial planning and tax preparation, and what we call a more advanced level where we are talking about debt management, retirement seminar, and much more sophisticated features. What this recognizes is the fact that employees are different, they have very different needs, and so you have to cater to those needs in order to have a group of the employee which are actually well prepared to save for retirement. So we have then actually summarized some of this work in this new book. We actually have a copy outside. It just came out from Oxford University Press. And again, it's a collection of articles that also talks about some of these big projects. And finally, we have a new project on financial education, workplace financial education, where basically what we have done now, we have summarized all of the work that has been done across so many groups in so many different years. And what we are doing, actually, we have written a best practice. This is actually hot off the print, working on it last night. And we are almost close to finalizing it, also because I know that FINRA Investor Education Foundation is here, and I needed to show them the actual output. And we are actually working with the entire Federal Reserve System. We are going to have a very, very large group of employees, so we are going to know a lot more about you. Just kidding. And actually, we're going to do a workplace financial education, actually, for the entire Federal Reserve System. And actually, we are very happy to say that, for example, GAO, under the leadership of Jean Dodaro, has also taken this leadership role potentially in the public sector to try to do a workplace financial education. So rather than actually telling you about this specific project, what I want to do is really go through basically these best practices. And this is a distillation in all of the things we have learned through these so many different projects, and also not just done by us, but done by many more in this room as well, and try to come down with what are the best practices. I have heard a lot about a request to have this best practice. That's actually what we are trying to deliver with this project. So our best practice are, in a sense, 10 recommendations, and we really have tried to distill it, and in particular try to get the simplicity of it. And one of the important findings that emerges, certainly in a lot of national surveys, the HRS was documented first, that 50% of older workers, even though they have been at the firm for so long, actually don't know or are mistaken about their pension. So certainly don't assume that the employee know and have good information about the detail of the pension. Pensions are complicated, and it seems that people don't actually have difficulties in understanding just the feature of the pension and the pension plan. Second, really recognize that every employee is different, and I want to underline this very much. Every part of the data we have looked at really shows how different people are and what different are their needs as well. So you have to try to not just treat differently a young versus an old person, or a female versus a male person, but you have to treat different somebody who has debt, or somebody who has different needs than saving for retirement. And how to cater to that is, of course, more difficult, because while you might observe gender or age, is of course much harder to observe this other need, and that's why you have to try a way to listen to the needs of the employees. And to come back also to the point, I think is critically important, and this really emerges very clearly in the financial capability data, that one of the issues that people really have, and a lot of them, is debt and debt management. 1 in 5 Americans has used high-cost method of borrowing in the past 5 years. This is a large percentage, and I think if we focus a lot about asset building, but we don't take into account that people are currently actually having a lot of problem with that and debt management, and young people, your new young hire, are going to be coming with a boatload of student loans. And so, how you deal with that, I think, is going to be a really important challenge. But clearly, you have to think also about the plan design. I want to put in here really and here I'm just trying to describe in simple way this important work that David has done, which is there is really a power of automatic enrollment. You have really to use it to make it easy for people to be enrolled, but you have to, of course, think very carefully about the allocations, asset allocation. You have to be also think very carefully about escalation, because normally we start a really low level, and people stick to that low level. And I have to say, in the 6th project that Bob Clark has done, this comes out over and over and over. I actually almost feel that what Bob did is replicate almost every result that David did. It's really amazing to see kind of the same result over and over in so many different data sets in so many firms. And very interestingly, plain design is so important. Again, one of the results of Bob's work is that people, if there is a match, but it starts a year from now, actually it makes employee not to contribute to retirement saving, and then this kind of year delay is what actually make people not think about this and not do it even a year later when actually the match become possible. So, when you provide the information and how you design that plan seems to be critically important, but clearly automatic enrollment is so powerful that, it certainly needs to be done. And finally, it's certainly, and you probably can imagine this recommendation, but it's very, very important to increase financial literacy among the employee. We know that it is low, and we also know that we need to take a holistic approach, that the people at the end who are best at making these decisions about pension are themselves, because they know what are their needs. And so finding a way to actually be able to increase that financial literacy is critically important. And also sometimes might also be critically important to also provide counseling when this decision becomes particularly difficult. And let me also say, this actually replicates some of the work that Olivia was saying earlier, that demonstrating how powerful it is to contribute to a 401k and how much this continuous contribution can give you. And here we are actually reporting a result from another study done here at the Financial Literacy Center, and kind of showing how indeed that contribution, the power of interest compounding work, can be very powerful. And what is also powerful, of course, is target the program and make it really appropriate for every individual, and take into consideration that every employee is different. So I know that, as they described, it might look obvious, but in fact, this is really the distillation of all of the study, in particular the one that have been done in these past 5 or 6 years, and most of them as research of the Financial Literacy Center. What we would really like to do next is enrich this best practice with a lot more work, and also make it available. We want this best practice not to be a general recommendation, but you say, do you want to adopt it? Here is the material that you can actually use in order to have survey, in order to have, be ready to implement the program, and also evaluate a lot more the effect, and certainly incorporate much more. This vampire game seems to have become very popular, so we would be very happy to actually work more with D2D to make a program a lot more engaging. Thank you.